What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, it's July 18th. It's a little after 6 p.m. Central Time, and we're just going to be going over the news and the notes. But before we get into that, I just want to say it's mid-July. You guys should be doing your prep for your fantasy leagues and your draft coming in August, and no better way to do that than to purchase the 2022 Fantasy Fellowship Draft Kit. You can get the link in the description below. Go through there. It's $15 this year, but you get access to my projection document and a bunch of other cheat sheets and bonus articles and rankings and whatnot throughout the draft kit. And what's cool is I'm continuously adding to the draft kit, so it's a thing that's just a big moving process, and it's a lot of fun to work on for you guys. But we'll go back and forth. I'll be showing you guys some of my projections and things like that throughout the day. But let's go ahead and get into the video. I guess the main one, he's the cover guy of this video. It's J.K. Dobbins, Baltimore Ravens running back. Interesting little news blurb today. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports that Dobbins is no sure thing to be ready for week 1. He noted that Dobbins has not had any setbacks in his rehab and that his rehab is going well. However, Dobbins' knee injury was extensive. I think it was a multi-tear. In addition to tearing his ACL, there was reportedly a meniscus tear and damage to the lateral side as well. So that's concerning. It's not a simple ACL tear. The nature of this injury puts Dobbins' early season availability into question, not just week 1, but perhaps even the first few weeks of the season, per Rappaport. Gus Edwards, who's coming off his own ACL tear, appears like a better bet to be the back for week 1. At this point, 7th-round rookie Tyler Beatty is firmly in flyer territory in fantasy drafts. He could have a meaningful early season role if Dobbins isn't yet at full health. Dobbins' ADP has fallen in recent weeks, reflecting the growing pessimism that he will be ready for week 1. He profiles as a risky but high upside bet, provided he can return to his pre-injury form. So, very interesting. This came out about 1:24 Eastern time, and then J.K. Dobbins comes back. He doesn't tweet very much, but he tweeted this back at Ian Rappaport, saying, I might not even go on PUP because that's how good my rehab is going, and I'm damn sure going to be ready for week 1. So it's an interesting respondence, I guess, to Rappaport here. So Dobbins was responding to a report by Rappaport saying it was no sure bet, and he came right back. This was, just about an hour after that. So it blew up. Dobbins, his ADP started, plummeting. I think he was in the 6th round. But now, if he's going to be potentially on the pup list, and even what Dobbins says here, I might not even go on the pup list, meaning it already sounds like it's a possibility. So he's kind of admitting that I might not even go on it, but he's damn sure he's going to be ready for week 1. So we'll see. For now, though, I think the correct thing is to probably not be buying J.K. Dobbins at the moment right now, unless his ADP falls, into the 8th or 9th round. Where I have the Baltimore offense projected right now, I think Gus Edwards is probably a pretty dang good pick right now. I still have J.K. Dobbins leading the team in overall carries with 165, a little over 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it's basically going to be a big committee, I think, for the receiving workload. I do like Tyler Beatty here. They did sign Mike Davis, so as far as who's going to be the primary receiving back, I'm not really sure. Tyler Beatty had a hell of a career as a pass-catching back at Missouri. Ran for 1,000 yards last year, too, here. So he's an interesting guy. I think in best ball leagues, round 20 is where you can get him right now. So I've been enjoying that. But as far as how the carries break down, man, if J.K. Dobbins, not alone, it's hard for a player to come back from a serious injury like this. It's hard for him to be himself in year 1. So for me, I'm kind of just crossing J.K. Dobbins off my board for the entire 2022 season. I'd rather invest in Gus Edwards. He's pretty cheap right now. Tyler Beatty is also pretty cheap right now. I think you can get Gus Edwards like in the 14th round. So if you're doing a 0 RB strategy or something like that, you could potentially be getting the lead back into the committee here. And again, if he's on the pup list, they changed the rules. It's a 4 to 6 week pup list this year. So there's potential for Dobbins to miss the first 4 games. A little bit of a concern there. And if we look at the ADP ranking here, this is drafters.com. This is their full PPR website. We go down here, let's see where JK is being drafted 60th overall right now, right in between Montgomery and Jacobs. He's already beginning to fall farther than that in a lot of drafts. So you're probably going to see him slip down here, I think, into the Damian Harris range, somewhere in the 8th, 9th round. So he's kind of off limits for me. And again, I'm investing in Gus Edwards and I think Tyler Beatty. Those are the plays right now. Now, we know the Ravens want to run the ball more, but again, we have to temper our expectations for Dobbins. I know Cam Akers had a serious Achilles injury last year, but we saw when he rushed back, he wasn't himself. So I'm expecting Dobbins, maybe 2023 Dobbins, we see a healthy J.K. Dobbins. But let's move on here. Let's get to some other news. Let me hit refresh on this before we move on. Let's see what is at the top of the list. Some good news for the Arizona Cardinals running game. I suppose Rappaport's reporting that the starting center there, Rodney Hudson, has informed the team he is returning and will play in 2022. Now, they didn't have a very good offensive line coming into the season, but this helps things a little bit. Makes me like James Conner a little bit more, maybe even some of the backups there, but expect the running game to at least, get a little bit more boost in their step this year. So that's a good sign for them to get their starting center back. Some Wan'Dale Robinson contract information. There's the J.K. Dobbins stuff going back and forth. Now, this one was interesting. More Deshaun Watson stuff. I think we're going to be getting a decision on this soon. If not, it looks like he's just kind of in a limbo right now. But Yahoo's Charles Robinson reports Deshaun Watson will sue the NFL if he is suspended for the entire 2022 season. So Robinson said Watson and NFL Players Union have already made the decision to file a lawsuit against the league in federal court if he is slapped with a year-long suspension. Such a move would further drag out the never-ending Watson saga. The timing of arbitrator Sue Robinson's decision on Watson's punishment remains unclear as the Browns prepare for training camp. And again, it's July 18th. Training camp start up in a week or so. So this is very interesting. Watson could face as little as a month-long suspension or no suspension at all, though that seems unlikely after more allegations surface following Cleveland's trade for Watson. So this one's really interesting. And in the last week or so, I've seen Deshaun Watson's ADP climb up like a good, 15, 20 picks, maybe 2 rounds at least. He is currently being drafted as the 194th player off the board, but this doesn't really reflect his true ADP. He's actually kind of being drafted in the 180 range here. And a week ago, he was being drafted in the 200. So he's a guy that's moving up as people prepare for a 4 or 6 game suspension. And who knows? It's kind of hit or miss. We don't know what's going to truly happen with that, but interesting to note. We'll keep an eye on it for sure. There's also another note we'll get to in a second, but the Browns are looking at bringing in another quarterback just to back up Brissett, as they only have Joshua Dobbs there as the number 2 behind Brissett if Watson misses time. Raiders offense, Keelan Cole, Mac Hollins are the favorites to start opposite of Davante Adams in the Raiders offense. And I was thinking about this. Keelan Cole's an interesting late round best ball target. We saw last year the Raiders had, a number 3 receiver that was useful, whether it was Bryan Edwards or Zay Jones. The number 3 receiver was making plays. Now, of course, Devontae Waller healthy, that's going to change some things a little bit, as well as Hunter Renfrow. So you're talking about the 4th target in a Raiders pass-happy offense. And who knows, if you're in the 19th or the 20th round of a best ball draft, Keelan Cole is an interesting guy here. But again, he's clearly behind Devontae, Waller, Renfrow, and then Keelan Cole probably can compete with one of the running backs or something like that for the 4th most targets. But now let's get to a fun one. And this one kind of blew up the internet today, and you had some Eddie Lacy jokes throughout the Twitter sphere. But anyways, Leonard Fournette, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rick Stroud reports Bucs coaches were not happy with Leonard Fournette's weight during the team's minicamp. Coaches were not happy, and that's an understatement when Fournette didn't participate in OTAs, but then he shows up at the mandatory minicamp weighing damn near 260 pounds. So probably, 258 or something. But that's not a good sign for a guy that you've just spent a 3-year contract on. They paid him a lot of money, and he shows up like 30 pounds over his playing weight from last season. Perhaps Lombardi Lenny, 27, has trimmed down in the weeks after his somewhat shocking appearance at Tampa's June minicamp. If so, this will be a non-issue heading back into the regular season. Fantasy managers should remember Fournette has a hungry rookie running back, 3rd-round pick Rashaad White waiting in the wings. At Arizona State, White excelled as a pass catcher and could emerge as the threat to valuable 3-down role Fournette had in 2021. So White should be stashed in 12-team leagues this summer. So what did I do with this news now? Again, the mandatory minicamp was in June. Who knows? Fournette could have lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds since this report from minicamp here, but he's working on his weight, his conditioning. And again, it's mid-July. We still have 2 weeks in July and all of August camp. So he's still 6 weeks away from potentially, starting week 1. He's going to start. He's going to be the guy. But, it's concerning when a guy gains 30 pounds in an offseason. That's a lot of question marks there for me. So what I did, I lowered some of my numbers. I nicked some of his carries down. I gave those to Rashaad White. And then I did give a little boost to Rashaad White's passing game as well. But still, the numbers are still in favor of a potential fringe running back 1. Let me hit filter here. I got Leonard Fournette here as my RB12, right behind Javonte Williams, right ahead of James Conner. So he's still going to be a workhorse guy. He's going to flirt with, 1,100 all-purpose yards and probably a good candidate for double-digit touchdowns. But what did that do for Rashaad White? That boosted him to my RB41, which right next to J.K. Dobbins. But that puts him, in line, like a 9th, 10th round range running back that could, who knows? We know Leonard Fournette, if he gets hurt, That's going to be a huge boost for Rashaad White, but there's already talks of Rashaad White just earning a role in this offense as the third down guy too. So the arrow is pointing definitely up on Rashaad White, pointing down on Leonard Fournette. But again, it's July. We're talking about weight. That could all be moved by the time training camp actually starts. So Leonard Fournette, we'll see if he can cut the weight. Let's move on to another running back here, the Denver Broncos. And this, we're kind of just beating a dead horse here in all of the reports that this could be a more pass-happy, Russell Wilson-centric offense. But the Athletics' Nick Kosmider believes running back screens could be an important part of the Broncos offense in 2022. He suggested Russell Wilson-centric Denver offense would include plenty of downfield shots as well as quite a few running back screens as defenses play deep to protect against Wilson's potential rain ball throw. In the first half of 2020 season, Seattle's league-leading offense targeted running backs far more often than they had in previous seasons, or in the down bad second half of 2020. Carson logged 24 targets in the first 5 games of 2020. So man, that would put Javonte at a huge pace for the full season. We're pretty much wide receivers and running backs this year, Javonte said. So that's a huge boost to his floor. And at the moment right now, Javonte was being taken right at that sweet spot, the round 2-3 turn, around 24th, 25th overall. I mean, I'd rather take Javonte Williams over Leonard Fournette now. We have to learn all the different route concepts, he said. Pass catching duties would probably be split between Williams and Melvin Gordon, both more than capable pass catchers. It would make sense for the Broncos to pepper backs with short targets since Wilson has long struggled with passes to the intermediate part of the field. So I think this is very interesting. Again, I do have Javonte Williams right here as my RB11, and this is a new coaching staff. You got the head coach coming over from Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett. I think you're probably going to see them favor Javonte Williams. Last year, these two guys split the same carries, 203 each. Both ran for about 900 yards as well. Melvin did get the boost in touchdowns, but already last year, Javonte was the leading pass catcher. So I expect these numbers to kind of tilt more towards Javonte's favor in the running game. Expect him to lead in carries and continue to expect him to flirt with almost 50 receptions this year. I have him right here at 48. Again, I have him leading the team in touchdowns, carries as well here. So I'm all aboard a Javonte Williams pass-happy Broncos offense. Now let's go ahead and look and see if there's any other news and notes that I can find for you guys. Kenyan Drake said he won't be full speed when Raiders training camp starts. This one's interesting because we know with the Josh McDaniels offense scheme here, they love to use a bunch of running backs, but who knows how he's going to use them. They did bring back Brandon Bolden, who not back, but they brought him from New England. So that's an interesting sign there that it's going to be kind of a committee as the pass catching back. But you have Brandon Bolden, Kenyan Drake returning from his ankle injury, and you still have Josh Jacobs, who caught a lot of passes last year, and then we have the rookie Zamir White. So you're looking at 4 running backs. Not sure how it's all going to shake out and who's going to be the leading pass catcher. I still think Jacobs is going to be heavily involved, both running and receiving. But it's interesting, Kenyan Drake not ready for 100% when training camp starts. So that could lead to opportunities for the rookies Zamir White or Brandon Bolden. So we'll kind of pump the brakes on Kenyan Drake. If anything, that makes me like Josh Jacobs a little bit more, and we'll see what happens there. But otherwise, I think that was the majority of the news I wanted to get into. I guess we'll read one more here. Brandon Aiyuk, 49ers wide receiver. Brandon Aiyuk's performance during minicamp wasn't what you'd expect from a veteran receiver, according to Jack Hammer, the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Bad practice reports are nothing new for Aiyuk, who was benched by Shanahan and played limited snaps for the first 2 weeks of last season. The third-year receiver struggled with drops and wasn't on the same page as second-year quarterback Trey Lance after the two spent time working over the offseason. No higher than the number 3 option in a run-heavy offense, Aiyuk is unlikely to make a year 3 leap. So that's interesting. Brandon Aiyuk right now currently being drafted. Let's take a peek here. He's being drafted down the list here, about 82 overall, right between Mike Thomas and Christian Kirk. I'm taking Christian Kirk, Alan Lazard over Aiyuk for sure. Those are pass-happy offenses. And Aiyuk, again, they mentioned him being the third fiddle in a run-heavy offense. I think people drafting him at 82 overall, that's the end of the 7th round, probably going to be a little bit disappointed. And I think my projections, I have not been drafting Aiyuk a lot unless I started, running back heavy, but I have Brandon Aiyuk down here as my wide receiver 46. So, I mean, that's a bench receiver for fantasy football right now, and people are drafting him in the 7th round, which just feels slightly off. I guess more 49ers news, Jimmy Garoppolo. The Athletics' Matt Barrows reports Seahawks and Texans seem like long shots to trade for Jimmy G. This one's interesting. Jimmy G, who has a 24 million cap hit in the final year of his contract. It's going to be hard finding a trading partner. He basically at that price, you want to be starting him. So I think there's going to probably be some kind of standoff here where they can't find a trade partner. He either stays on the team or they just have to outright cut him. But I think I heard an interesting rumor that perhaps, we see what the Giants season starts like, but I could see Jimmy Garoppolo being moved at some point during the season. And I think the Giants would be an interesting fit for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now let's get to the last news blurb of the day, and then we'll get out of here. Kenneth Walker, the Seattle Times' Bob Condata projects the Seahawks' third down role to Travis Homer or DJ Dallas over Kenneth Walker. And the hype out of Rashaad Penny lately has been very, very loud. There are reports of him getting upwards of 20 touches per game, which is just not going to jive with Kenneth Walker and his ADP right now. Penny is expected to be Seattle's featured back if Carson isn't cleared or lands on the pup. I'm not expecting Chris Carson to even play this year with that neck injury. That sounded scary. Not playing on pass downs could leave Walker, who caught 19 passes in 3 seasons at MSU, as a change of pace back or on the wrong side of a committee to open the year. With Carson and Penny on expiring deals, a J.K. Dobbins track is the floor for Walker, with the rookie back backing up before taking over in 2023. So I am not drafting Kenneth Walker as it stands right now. I do have Rashaad Penny slightly higher. I might even widen the gap too. I have Rashaad Penny. Where do we? I kind of have I have Penny as my RB38, and if you look a little bit lower, there's Kenneth Walker as my RB43. Seahawks are just one of the worst offensive lines. They're not going to win a lot of games, not going to have a lot of good running game scripts. So I'm nervous about that, but I probably need to move Rashaad Penny up into the Kareem Hunt, Miles Sanders, James Cook range, probably put him in the 9th round, 10th round. And as far as ADP, that's been one of the biggest changes of late. You see Rashaad Penny now with 101.6, Kenneth Walker going downwards 107.6. Those kind of have reversed over the last few weeks. So it's interesting. Seattle running backs, again, we're not super excited about those running back opportunities in Seattle, but that's going to do it. That's going to do it for tonight's show. We'll hang out again. We always do our live mock draft Thursday night. So if you want to hang out with us around 7 p.m. Thursday night, we'll do our live ESPN mock draft if you want to join us. And thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your evening. Peace.